going on? It's me, Tim, with the Gutter Growth Podcast. Today I got a special guest. I got Rob Gerling with Nashville Seamless Gutters. What's up, Rob?
Howdy, everybody.
How you doing today?
Good. How's everything going for you down in sunny Florida?
It's nice and sunny, so I can't complain.
Yeah, but we're starting to get nice weather here too. It's starting to be to the point where it's getting hot to work, where you have to start cutting the days earlier. But I like it. I like to wake up at 7, 8 a.m. and it's like already 80 degrees. So it's nice. Kind of makes you feel like you're on vacation. So I don't mind it, but it is tough to work in when it gets really hot,
You guys are all year round, aren't you?
Supposed to be, but we slowed down quite a bit this past year. That was actually one of the things I want to talk to you about is that, we can technically work all year round, but, December, January, it seems like people aren't really thinking about getting their gutters done, So one of my things I'm going to work on is finding alternative, whether it be Christmas lights, something else like that to kind of keep the guys busy over the winter. I know some guys lay their guys off. Some people do other stuff like, all different things, but I lost a good help last year because, we got very slow and, I was paying them for a little bit, but I can only pay them so much. And so
was it just the workload to slow down, or was it
more
like just workload? Yeah,
just slow down, which I'm fine. I plan for that stuff, but I feel bad, that I can't. I want to make sure these guys have a full schedule, 40 hours a week.
Yeah,
so it was a struggle, but yeah, you technically can work all year round, but does it mean you're gonna be busy all year round? No.
After I was pretty established, I had usually projects and stuff going on around that time, but I would also, because that it doesn't really slow down until December. It's pretty hard usually up until December, and that's the month. Yep. So that quarter, I try to just advertise a lot because where I'm usually comfortable with being 2 weeks out, I might try to push it to where I'm 4, 5, 6 weeks out and just really stack up on the work, because some work's still going to come in. It's just not as much. The volume slows down, right? The call volume.
Yeah. I've heard some people too, what they do is they schedule a lot of their maintenance cleanings. They'll schedule those, that time of year when it's slow, and get all their cleanings done. A lot of people that they do subscription model and stuff like that. So that's something I need to commit to, or, because it sucks, you train a guy all year and then you get slow in December and January and February even, and they start looking elsewhere, it's hard to lose a good guy, so.
Even your old customer base, you've been in business a couple of years now, you could even go back and sell those guys a maintenance package.
Yeah.
And kind of the strategy that me and Grant are taking at Mother's Gutters is we're giving an okay labor warranty. It's okay, maybe 2 years or something. I can't remember exactly, but we're giving a lifetime warranty if they sign up for a maintenance package. And so this is just we're going to be out there. We have 3 different packages. You got Mother's Best, Mother's something else. I can't remember.
Oh, yeah, I did see you guys are doing that. That's a great idea.
Yeah, so this way we're kind of forcing them into getting the maintenance package and it's not really high priced, right? And this way you're getting paid to go out there. So we're going to be monitoring it because we'll either be there 1, 2, or 4 times a year. So we'll be kind of monitoring it, and if something happens, a corner starts leaking 5 years from now, we'll be there and we'll take care of it, but we're already getting paid to go there.
Yep. That's smart.
So we're going to kind of take that strategy, but you could even take that strategy with, getting your old customers on it, selling some kind of, some email marketing, maybe some text message marketing to your client base, and, upgrade their warranty to lifetime.
Yeah, we do already offer a lifetime, and it's actually helped us sell a lot of jobs, especially if a customer has, 3, 4 estimates on their table and
they're going to go
lifetime. It actually has helped us out. A lot of people have kind of gave me flack for it. Not customers, but people in the industry, how are you going to offer? Who's to say you're going to be around in 10 years? I said, well, this is all I got. I don't have a plan B. This has got to work out for me.
Now, my company was 10 years old when I exited, and trust me, they come in. You're going to get those calls. So, it's something to think about. You can leverage it more with pushing them to it if you decided to kind of drop that down. But I do see what you're saying it's definitely easier to close the job with it.
Yeah, no, it's been a great success for us. We have it on our vehicles. lifetime warranty. And like I said, if you're one of the only guys in town offering it, it really helps you stick out, and there's not a whole lot of moving parts with gutters. If you're going to get a leak, it's going to be in the first week or two,
Usually.
for the time, they're not going to have any issues with their gutters unless they're not maintaining them. But, it says in our warranty, must be cleaned unless you get gutter guards, there's limitations to it, but it's definitely helped us out.
Yeah, no doubt, man. So yeah, me and you met where at, was it the Huge Convention?
Yeah, we officially met at the Huge Convention. We had chatted online and stuff like that. And around that time, I was just getting Nashville Seamless Gutters going.
Yep. Yeah, you were fresh into it. You moved from where?
I moved from New York.
New York, yep.
Like central New York, not like New York City. Everybody thinks New York City when you tell them New York. I had done gutters up there with a buddy of mine. He's in the groups, but he's kind of quiet, kind of behind the scenes,
Yep.
I don't think he's ever posted. But it was a buddy of mine. I went to school for cybersecurity. That's my background is IT. I've always worked desk jobs and stuff like that. And he was always looking for help. And he's telling me, why don't you come help me out with gutters? It's easy, it's fun. We're working outside. We're working all different places. And finally, one summer I didn't have anything going on. And I was like, what? I'll go check this out. And I actually really liked it. Installing. It's just me and him. He's just a simple operation. He's on every install. He does the estimates.
Yep.
He's not running a bigger operation by any means,
Yep.
But that's the way he likes it.
That's the most of the industry.
Yeah. And so I worked for him for a couple of years, taught me a lot of stuff. Although they do things a little bit different up in New York. But then I decided I want to move to Nashville, get out of New York. So when I came down here, I worked for a local company for a couple months just to kind of see the way they did things. I had already planned on opening my own business and working for myself. But it's a good thing I did go work at a local company because they do things a lot, different down here in the South. The spacing, 2-foot spacing up in New York, we're doing like 13 inches.
That snow.
We use 0.32 up there for everything. They're using 0.27 down here. So it is good that I worked for a local company and kind of saw the way they did gutters in the South, I guess.
So this is what I found.
Okay, so you're telling me my clogged gutters caused all this? I had no idea.
Yeah, unfortunately, most homeowners don't think about their gutters until this kind of stuff happens.
Wow.
Prevent unexpected and costly damage from clogged gutters. Protect your home with One Gutter Guard, the trusted solution for gutter protection. Call us today to find out why more homeowners are choosing One Gutter Guard.
You could say.
Yep. What were you doing up north? Like strip miters and?
Yeah, he was just strip miters, but he hand cut everything. Didn't have a saw. We got a miter saw. But yeah, he'd use the easy miter templates and he cut everything. He mainly ran the machine and he cut all the miters, stuff like that. I was just hanging and helping him out. So I really didn't have a ton of experience, even hand cutting stuff like that, because he ran the machine and he did all that stuff.
Are you running a saw on the back of the machine?
Yeah, I built like a makeshift redneck stand, I guess you could say.
Yep. Nice.
But it works, and it helps out. It saves a lot of time, in my opinion, and you get a perfect cut every time.
I cut my half round like that. I didn't do K style like that. I just did it by hand. But for some reason, I liked cutting half round with it. It was just nice and clean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we like it. It's fast, and some of these houses, they'll have 30 miters, 40 miters, and it's like
it's a lot of cutting.
There's some guys that are very good at it, but it's just if I can just put that saw down and get a perfect cut every time, I would
do some carpal tunnel.
Yeah. So yeah, I moved to Nashville, worked for a little company for a couple months, just kind of see how they did things. And at that time, I had a little bit of money saved, but ended up taking a small business loan. We had jet skis from New York, sold both of our jet skis, used that money, bought a machine. I had to buy a machine, had to buy a trailer, had to buy all the tools, ladders, you name it. So I was pretty in debt.
So when we met, you were just a couple of weeks in, I think.
Yeah. I didn't do my first job until August of 2023, and that's right around what the Huge Convention was.
Okay.
Yeah,
man. So tell us a little bit about that journey. That wasn't too long ago.
Yeah, like I said, it was very exciting, because I didn't even have a pickup truck. I used to drive an SUV, but I knew for this business I had to go trade in my car, had to get a truck, had to get a trailer, I had to order a machine. It was a lot, and I consider myself to be pretty good at doing research and talking to the right people and stuff like that. So it was very fun, all right, what ladders do I want to get? I knew I wanted to do a miter saw, and what tools do I want to get? Milwaukee DeWalt, obviously Milwaukee, but
Yep.
so it was fun. And then, getting the website going, and then getting the phone to ring, that was a challenge. You had actually told me one of the first things, because I remember I was sitting home and I'm like, I'm going to have to get a good job because this phone ain't ringing, I was like, I had Facebook, I had all that stuff set up, and I'm posting in local groups, and I'm like, I'm going to have to do something. I can't pay my bills. So like you told me, I got on Google, got the phone book out, literally started calling contractors every day. Hey, if Rob from Nashville Seamless Gutters, we'd like to sign up to be a gutter sub with you guys. You get a lot of people, yep, I'm fed up with my guy. Some people are like, I got a great guy, he's good. But if something happens or if he's too busy, we'll let you know. So, and I got quite a bit of contractors just from doing that.
Nobody likes doing it, but it works. I mean,
I saw your video. You guys are doing it now.
Yeah. Yeah. And I got 25% of those people to give me their email address.
Yeah. The emails are nice because then you can hit them with marketing stuff too.
I'm just curious, how did you approach those calls? Like, what was your opening to them?
Just like, hey, call up the roofer and be like, hey, my name's Rob. I'm calling from Nashville Seamless Gutters. We're a local gutter company. We'd like to know if we could sign up with you guys to be a gutter sub. Simple as that.
Simple.
A lot of them say, yep, here's our email, send us this. A lot of them be like, we'll have the owner call you. Some of these people are pretty old school and they want to meet you in person. So a lot of these people, not a lot of them, but some of them, they're like, hey, let's go meet for coffee. Let's go meet for lunch. And I'd go meet them, because they want to shake your hand. They want to sit down with the person they're doing business with. We
got a copper bid from it, and I got a bunch of people to send the info to. Maybe you got 2 solid contacts from that first day. I'm going to keep doing it, but it's just a numbers game. Like literally, if you don't have work and you call 1,000 people, it'll take you some time, but you're going to have work.
Yeah. Like you said, once you get used to hearing no or them, it's like, if you call up 100 people, if you get 2 good contractors, I've got some contractors that gave me like over 50 grand in work last year,
Yeah.
They're good for, a couple houses a week. That'll keep, if you're a 1-man crew, you got a 1-truck crew, that'll keep you pretty busy with contractors alone. Not the best money, no, not as good as residential consumer work. But if you're just starting out and you need experience and you want to get out there and get your name out there, it's great, But
so how's the business going now? You're like 2 years into it.
Yeah. So now we've been working with Mr. Pipeline since last year, starting to get more residential work, stuff like that. And what I was saying is eventually I'd like to get away from the contractor stuff. Keep a couple of them, because I've got some that are really good to me. They send me the footage, they send me the color. They're like, go do it, send us the bill. They never complain about the price. They're always sending that ACH on Fridays. Just really good people, that I'd hate to tell them that, hey, I can't help you out anymore, but yeah. Since working with Mr. Pipeline, it was another thing you told me to do. And I was very scared, because I'm like, I can't spend $500 on Google. I'm like, geez, I had a little bit of money at the time, but I'm like, geez, 1 month of that, and if I don't get into work, I'll be bankrupt, and I'll have to sell, and I'll have to be working, and stuff. But like you said, though, literally the day it started, my phone was ringing off the hook. I couldn't believe it.
Is that from the ad spend?
Edwards, yeah.
That's scary because, especially when you first get into business, right? And you hear the budget that they tell you that you need, you're like, oh shit,
Yeah.
Like $3 to $5 grand. It's a lot of money.
Yeah. Cause I had called Evan is my rep. I had called him when I first got my LLC back in I think it was May of 2023, before I had anything. And he's like, oh, he was like, I can look and see what, the search volume is and that. And he's like, brother, he's like, I'm thinking, I'm like, $1,500 a month, $2 grand. He's like, your market is insane. He's like, you're in one of the top markets in the country. He's like, you're going to have to spend at least $4 to $6 grand.
Yeah. That's like that for most markets, to be honest with you. Like if you don't have that, you ain't getting much.
Yeah.
Except for maybe like some of the really rural areas.
Yeah.
Which I run into. We got a couple of guys in the program.
Yeah. I got a buddy up in New York and he does Google AdWords for a different kind of business. And he spends like $500 a month and he gets like way more calls than I get. But it's just, there's no competition up there. It's an auction. It goes by whoever wants to pay the most, so. And in Nashville, there's over 500 gutter companies. So you got to pay to play.
I don't think AdWords is going anywhere, but I do think that, even though SEO has always been important, I feel like it's going to get even more important here in the next, 1 to 5 year mark. Because I don't know about you. I mean, I don't know how much you've played with AI, but I got.
I use it all the time. Yeah.
But I went ahead and paid for like the top
premium.
Yeah, premium. I mean, it's kind of expensive, but it does a lot for me, and it remembers everything.
Yeah.
But I'm finding myself like searching stuff on there instead of searching it on Google.
Yeah. I
know Google's going to have an AI feature, but people are getting really accustomed to their AI apps because it's more personalized with everything.
Yep.
So like as people start to live in there, and we've seen these trends and changes over the years. Like I remember when it was the phone book, and it just stopped working, and then Google was a shock, and it took. But now that's all it is, and so I see it like maybe to where it's going to be maybe more SEO is going to get you further because they're not going to see those ads when they're doing it from their AI. It's just going to be straight organic.
This is exactly the conversation I've been having with Evan and the other people at Mr. Pipeline who manage my account because I don't know if you saw, I also posted in one of the groups to see if anybody else was having trouble, but I just felt like my Google AdWords is not performing like it did last year. We're busy, but it seems like the return on investment's not what it was. So I was kind of asking for feedback to see if anybody else was having the same. And basically what Evan and some others told me is that SEO is kind of taking lead now. So that maybe I need to either, in addition, up my SEO or maybe change my Google budget and not focus as much on it, lower it a little bit, or do both. So we're actually looking into that now.
We can take a little bit away, put it towards SEO.
Yeah. And I did SEO before because you had told me about it. But like you said, it's a long game. It's not something you see immediate results from.
Correct.
And from what I understand, I still don't even know 100% how it works. But yeah, it's seeming like this year in particular, I'm going to have to up my SEO, which I know the market's going to be always changing. It's like SEO is hot now. There could be something new, next year. It's like, it's not just something you can just set on cruise control, your marketing, I think it's always something you got to pay attention to.
Yeah. You would always be doing like blog posts and building out new pages, having pages for every single city in your area.
Yeah.
Every different category of gutter, just that's all it is. It's just doing more SEO is going to end up paying off. So I think it's a good investment. I agree though. You won't notice it the first month.
Yeah. It's like I said, we did 6 months of it before doing AdWords because it's all I could afford at the time. But then we went to AdWords and like I said, I think our budget was like $5,500 at one time. We lowered it down for the winter time, but saw lots of success with it. It was great. Like phone was ringing off the hook. And like I said, those are all good jobs. Those are all $5,000 to $8,000 jobs, You do a job for a contractor, it's like $2,500,
So you sell a lot of leaf protection product?
Yeah. Primarily using Alirex.
Okay. I know when I was in Knoxville, because I worked there for like a year when I did a hailstorm. I don't know, it's going back like 14 years ago. But everything, I pretty much every job I had some type of leaf protection on it.
Yeah, I would say maybe 50%.
50?
Yeah, maybe 50%. Some people, they're really stuck on price, and I'm sure this is a me problem, not doing the best selling. I'll be the first to admit I'm not the best salesman. I'm not super pushy. I mean, you know me, you know my personality. I basically kind of give them a price. If you want to do it, call me. But I know there's some people that'll keep calling them until you get a no. I do have the jobber marketing plan so that I'll email them, a couple times and let them know that they got a quote, But yeah, it seems to be priced because some of these houses I measure are very, very big, and it's like over $10,000 when I get done, and I'm like, yeah, there's no way they're gonna want to do gutter guard on this, I just know, because their house is so big, and it's hard, but I would say about 50% of the installs we do Alirex with.
We're getting ready to do an Alirex.
Something cheaper, like Bulldog from Lansing or something like that.
Bulldog, yeah. Do you like Bulldog?
Great. Yeah, I think for a middle of the road gutter guard, it's decent.
I've used it a lot in Florida. That was a Lansing product.
Like people that don't want to spend a lot, but they want gutter guard, I think it's a heck of a lot better than like chicken wire or any of the cheap plastic mesh stuff.
Case cream. Yep.
Yeah, I think it's for budget friendly gutter guard. I think it's number one.
Yeah, Alurex donated some guard to a job we're doing it's like a donation. They house brand new mothers that are single mothers and don't have anywhere to go, and they could stay up till the child's like 2 years old, and they kind of help them get transitioned.
Yep.
Get on their feet. So I thought that was pretty cool. But Alurex is donating for that.
They are great people, and that meeting them at
Spectra. Spectra is doing it too.
Yeah, they're all great people, and that's what makes me want to sell their products more. Meeting the owners, meeting Tommy, meeting Kevin, meeting the guys from Spectra. They're all so nice. You meet them, and they're just good people.
That's what happened. Scott Whaley was riding on a plane, and he was right next to this lady. She happened to be in our town. He met her. She told him what she had going on, and he wanted to contribute. So we went out there. So we already had the gutter taken care of, and then then Alurex wanted to jump on board. So I thought that was really cool.
Yep. No, they're both great companies. Alurex has been so good to me. I really have. I owe them a lot. They've been so good to me. They've given me multiple boxes as samples. One time I was doing a job and I my local supplier didn't have the corners. Called up Debbie. She overnighted them to me. They've been so good to me. And I got their products on my website. I actually did their certified installer training at GutterCon a couple months ago. And Debbie was actually telling me, I didn't know this. As of right now, we're the only certified installers in all of Tennessee for Alurex. So,
wow. Cool. You need to exploit that.
yeah. I was like, I'm sure.
Like some pictures of you hanging on the gutter.
I guess we're still first. But once everybody else gets on board, but it's a great product. I tell everybody about it.
I am convinced that makes the strongest gutter system.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really does.
Basement flooding. Roof leaks. Mold.
No. I have to clean the gutters.
Go back to sleep, honey. We installed one gutter guard.
Prevent unexpected and costly damage from clogged gutters. Protect your home with one gutter guard, the trusted solution for gutter protection. Call us today to schedule your free gutter inspection and estimate.
It really does.
Yeah, I should do one of the hanging pictures like everybody does, but I'm also 300 pounds. I don't know.
Do it with one hand.
It's supposed to hang. It's supposed to, but yeah.
No, what you do is just put a stool underneath, and then they don't get that part of it.
Yeah, but yeah, great success with Alurex. The guys at Spectra have been great. I was a big critic of them, because they did have some issues over the years, but they've seemed to fix everything, and I'd be the first ones to compliment them on doing that, It's nice that a company, people talking bad about them, the elbows don't go together. They're like, all right, they listened.
Yep.
They listened, and I've got a box of elbows. I think about a month ago, they started. I was like, these are different.
That's why I'm able to get behind them. They really do care.
Yeah.
No, they really do.
I earn a lot of respect for them, because they saw there was an issue. People complaining about the crimps and stuff like that, and they addressed it.
I've seen that at every distributor. In the 22 years I've been doing this, it's happened to all of them. It's just a machine goes wrong. It could happen to us. Our machine can go out of whack.
Yeah.
We all have machines, so we know that it could happen to us.
No, they said it. They said they had to bring in like the engineer, and he had to align it with like a laser, and they figured it out. But they've already got their pricing. Nobody else can touch them. The quality. They had some issues, minor issues, nothing major. It was little things.
They got good product.
If I was being nitpicky, I could say, the elbows. You got to finesse them a little bit. But like I said, we've been using them exclusively this year, and it's been great. And the pricing's great.
It makes no sense not to. I mean, why would you give up another 50 cents a pound or a foot or whatever it is? I don't know what everyone else.
We were briefly shopping at another supplier, and it was a couple $100 extra every job.
And that really adds up at the end of the year. I mean,
the customer really knows to use this supplier versus that supplier. They're both using Sherwin-Williams paint. It's like it's hard to justify that extra money. But yeah, we've had lots of luck with Alurex and Spectra, and I'm glad that they might be working together in the future, I've heard. So we'll see.
When I was in Tennessee, I used Leaf Relief, and that's what Alurex used to be.
Yep. We used to use that in New York. It was like the mill finish. It wasn't black.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we've been installing it in New York,
Like grayish.
and it was awesome.
Yeah, in the 10-foot sections.
Yeah. And I guess maybe their deal with that supplier, and then they could sell it themselves, opened up. So they started pushing it out themselves. But they didn't even sell it in Nashville when I first moved here.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody carried it. I had to work with Alurex and get Lansing to carry it.
Oh, that's surprising.
The one who got them to bring it to Nashville. Yeah, no supplier here had it.
I feel like that's where I bought it from back then, was Lansing.
I think every Lansing's different. They can kind of, based on the manager.
Is there like another distributor over there, Nortec or something? What's the name of it?
We've got Lansing, we've got Spectra, we've got Sunox. There's ABCs. There's service partners. We've got pretty much everything.
There's something over here I used to buy from at Knoxville. I just can't think of the name of it, but that might have been where I picked it up at if Lansing didn't have it.
Yeah, so I got them to bring it in, and it's been great. Customers love it. With Double Pro, it's got a lifetime warranty too, and that's helped us out big time too. Because a lot of these other products don't have a warranty.
Yeah.
So, we're giving lifetime warranty on the gutters, lifetime warranty gutter guard. People like to hear that. They don't want to get their ladder out and clean these things,
No.
So it's worked out. It's our top gutter guard right now. And it's been since we opened. So
what's your operations look like right now? Are you still on the truck or?
So I was off the truck last year, and then winter hit and we got pretty slow. I lost one guy. He went to work for the county because he wanted health insurance and 401k, which I didn't blame him. What can I do? I can't, make him stay, but it's always people are always going to come and go, you got to constantly be hiring like you've said before, so I was off the truck and they would go do jobs without me. And then over the winter we got slow and I lost my lead guy that was with me for a while. And then I got somebody new, but I've been helping out with installs now because I got to train them again. But pretty soon in the next month or two, I'll be going back to just doing estimates and, getting material, stuff like that. And they'll be at the point where they can go out and do jobs on their own.
Your area is really good for Christmas lights.
I know. It's on my list. It's on my list. It's on my list. It's just, I keep telling myself that I need to get the gutter business.
That takes care of honestly, man, it's chaotic. It'll be really chaotic for you because that doesn't necessarily start in December. So it could be chaotic. I recommend having another crew. But if not, also, no one has to do it at the level I did it. I went ham, you know what I'm saying? Like if you just add $60,000 to your business at the end of the year, that following year when it's on repeat, that's another $60,000 coming in.
Yeah.
You have like 8,000 on labor and maybe. But that'll take care of January's problem because that's when all the tape times are.
I'm not opposed to it. It's just one of those things I'm like, I need to get my gutter business where I want it first. But you know what? I've done this a lot of times in life with different things, You always think there's going to be a good time, but there never is. In a year from now, you're like, I should have just. So I just need to. It's one of those things. You just need to jump in feet first and get it over with and get it going because there's. In a year from now, I'm still going to feel like, my gutter business isn't where I want it to be. I need to focus on that. But
that never stops, bro. Like when I was at like my 7th year in, now I'm thinking, what other machine can I get? What other profile can I get? And it's just it never stops, and then you're not going to be happy because entrepreneurs aren't happy, right? This is what keeps us going. Like contentment's not really good, No. Like if we reach this contentment spot, we're just going to stop growing.
Yeah.
But
it's definitely on my list. I've recently started getting into like underground drainage cleaning. I bought a pressure washer, bought some of the attachments to do it. I'm going to invest in a camera to run the camera down and stuff like that because we've had a lot of jobs where we go and people that they've been in their houses 20, 30 years and they've never had these underground drains cleaned. Just like the black corrugated, someone got PVC.
All those jobs have drainage, don't they?
Yeah, a lot of these fancy houses, they all have underground drainage.
Are you into that? Do you install?
We don't install, no. But
Have you thought about it?
Eventually that's something I could get into as well, because tons of people ask me, and I don't know anybody. And so finally, like I said, I just recently bought a pressure washer and bought some of the attachments to do it. And I've actually got a job we're going to do next week for the first time, but it's just, I was tired
You
of
have that red clay where you're at?
not so much. Some places, yeah, but not in a lot of residential fields.
What is it? Just dirt?
Just dirt, yeah. Yep.
Can you hand dig?
What's that?
Can you hand dig there?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, really, man, it's just labor intensive. I had a guy that I used for like all my repairs. I would have him do clean outs, small downspout jobs, stupid shit. And then he would do underground drainage, because you're never going to sell it every day.
Yeah.
But there's really good money in it.
Yeah.
I mean, that stuff only costs a couple bucks a foot.
Yeah.
And you're selling it for $25 plus. If you get into the PVC, maybe 40 plus.
Yep.
It's just a matter, Florida, we did a lot of hand digging, but then you get into some areas, it's just a super bitch.
Yeah.
You might have to get a ditch witch or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's not worth turning down, because like you could add 3, 4, 5, 8 grand to a job. I mean, especially if there's a lot of footage on it, it could be twice the amount of the actual gutter install.
Yeah.
And these people will pay for it, and they need it. And if they don't know they need it, they need education that they need it. Like,
yeah.
Do you see their ground starting to pitch towards their house? Like, that's a prime example of one that you really should focus on.
Yeah.
Or you could get a sub. Like, if you had a good sub that did it,
Yeah. There's pretty much a lot of these houses, we work in a lot of gated communities, and there's not a house in there like under 3 million, and they've all got underground drainage. But the problem is, sometimes if we come in after a roofer, the roofers put all their crap in them, and we'll go to take these downspouts off, and you can't even, they're completely clogged, the underground drains.
Have you done any cleaning jobs yet?
No. We've got one in next week. We're gonna do it.
Now, one thing I do know, I've never done it, but I do know that like Roto-Rooter, they don't guarantee anything. So nothing.
It could be collapsed. It could have roots growing through it. There could be a dent on it. Yeah, it's.
So I mean, I guess you could get like a microscope and a light type system. They
sell cameras. Yeah.
But personally, what I did is I would just sell them a new system.
Yeah.
Every time. Like I didn't even get into the cleaning it. I would just sell them a new system.
Yeah.
Down here there's a lot of roots. It's probably collapsed somewhere.
Yeah.
It's old.
Yeah.
Like I don't even know where it's at to find all this stuff. So I'm just
that's the only problem is where the pop-up is on the lawn. They've never maintained it. Grass grows over it.
No idea where it's at.
You can't even find. So we're gonna try it. If it's profitable, I'm thinking.
I think it'll be profitable.
Like 1 day a week or something like that.
I'm just curious how often it'll work.
The cleaning of them.
Yeah.
It's hard to say. I mean, there's companies here that do it. I've had customers that, we'll go do an estimate and they'll ask me like, hey, do you clean these? And I'll say no. They're like, all right, well, I'm going to have a company come beforehand, and we get there and they're all clean. So there's companies doing
I think it'll work sometimes, but I'm wondering like, because Roto-Rooter has that clause, like, are you going to have the same approach? Like, because you're going there doing work, and then boom, you find out it's collapsed, and what's next?
Then they're going to have to hire someone to fix it. Yeah.
Or still pay your fee.
Replaced. Yeah. I don't know. We'll have to, that's some of the things I'm going to have to figure out, as we go. As of right now, I just, like I said, I'm tired of turning away those jobs, and it's quite a bit that these people, they never have them clean, and they don't have gutter guards, and we'll install brand new gutters, and then they're calling us, your gutters are overflowing. I go there, it's because the ground drain's clogged, and it'll actually back all the way up the downspout. Water will be coming out the seams. It'll come out at the top, and 9 times out of 10, it's because the ground drains.
I guess what I would do is I would turn it into an underground drainage sale, and then just credit them the money towards it.
Yeah, that is what some people do. I've been doing some research in some of the groups, and some people do that. If they find an issue, they'll give them a credit towards replacing it, and then I got to find somebody to replace it, because I wasn't planning on doing that. But eventually,
I think getting a sub, man. I'm positive.
Yeah, I'm sure I can find a sub.
Yeah.
Sure. Yep, definitely something I'm gonna figure out as I go.
it's pretty low risk too. They're on the ground. I mean, usually they'll just break a sprinkler head or something, and then you got to replace this, but they'll have those parts on them. It's something that's like, pretty
I'm
common.
going to do them myself, for now, because I've heard also too that, some of these pressure washers, you just jam it down there, you can rip right through that black corrugated pipe, so we got to be careful of that too. I just don't want to send the guy out there and be like, just show it down. So it's definitely something you got to be careful of too, because then we'll have to be replacing it on our dime. So
I'm sure after 10, 15 years, that stuff gets brittle. It's just plastic.
Yeah, we see it all the time. Yeah, it gets brittle, it dries up, and like I said, animals, roots, it collapses, and yeah. So if we do have to replace it, we'll have to cross that bridge, which don't jinx us.
Deal, man. So what's your outlook for this year?
Try to keep the crews busy. Crew, I guess you could say.
You'll have some guys quick. It's going to get busy in the summertime.
Yeah, we're just starting to pick up now. We're about 2 weeks out. But yeah, just want to keep them busy and kind of get them where they can go do jobs without me. Because like I said, right now I'm having to help out again because I got, guys that are not trained and stuff like that. I mean, they're working for maybe for a couple months, but trying to get them where they can go do jobs and where I trust them. I've got a brand new truck, where I trust them. A lot of people don't know how to drive with a trailer. And it's hard to find, I got one guy who doesn't have a license, so my other guy's going to have to drive, and it's hard to find people that even know how to back up a trailer, a customer's driveway and stuff like that, so.
I never had a guy that knew how to drive a trailer.
No, that's why a lot of guys go box trucks.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I had trailers because I put my custom machines in there, but I never had a trailer that didn't get bashed up at some point, Yeah. Either that or jackknifed, but
I've done it myself, like backing up when we hit a tree or something that, we stop it. But yeah, it's.
And then I don't know how many times, man, I would catch someone not pulling the lever back, and then they just put it down and they think it's locked, but it's not. And they're going to hit a bump and it's going to fly off.
Yeah.
I had a guy do that once.
There's a lot of liability. And then, you don't realize how you got to take wide turns too. You're in a gas station, you got to take a wide turn or else you're going to hit the pump. Pulling out a customer's driveway, if they got a ditch, there's been times where if I'm not watching my mirrors, I would have went through the person's ditch. I was like, whoa, you got to back up and straighten out a little bit. So
I got good at trailers. I was in Tennessee actually, and I took a wrong turn, and I went all the way up this mountain, this crazy ass mountain, like twisting turns, and then I get to the top, and there's no turnaround.
Yep.
Inside the back all the way down, and I had like a foot on each side, bro. It was crazy. It was intense. It took me like 30 minutes to get down.
I had backed up trailers my whole life because we always had jet skis, friends had boats and stuff like that. So I was very familiar with trailers. But when I got this gutter trailer, it humbled me, because, if I was
got that weight to it.
Jet skis. But yeah, it was unlike any. I mean, I've driven stuff with, excavators. I've got buddies back in New York that had excavation businesses and stuff like that. So I drove a lot of cool stuff and got a lot of experience. But man, this gutter trailer humbled me when I first got it. I couldn't back it up for anything, but over time, it's just practice. That's why I tell my guys too. It's like the more you do it, the better you're going to get at it.
I'd never even drove a trailer, and I bought a trailer for my first gutter company.
Yeah,
that's when I learned. But now I'm pretty surgical with it.
I mean, the more you do it, the better you get at it. That's all it is. But
cool, man.
What how's the mother's gutters going?
Pretty good. We just sold a nice $14,000 commercial job.
Nice.
So it was interesting. It's like a big boathouse, or not a boathouse, a marina, and they work on a bunch of like mega yachts.
Sure.
So there's probably 100 yachts there. It's pretty huge property. But on it, it's they had this gutter that hung down like really low, like 6 inches. And then the drip edge was like super high. So we're making like a really long back so that way it could kind of tuck up underneath. So the gutter is the same size. It's a 6-inch box gutter, but the back of it's going to be like 16 inches tall.
So you're going to have it made by like a metal shop or something?
Yeah, because it's got to be hung in a certain spot. And for some reason they left that all bare, and so we're going to solve that problem.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. I think I got maybe $50 a foot or something for it.
Nice. It's awesome. Who are you going to be helping out with installs, you and Grant, or are you guys just going to hire people?
Yeah, we got a sub right now, Alejandro.
Oh yeah, his buddy. Yep.
So I'm sure Grant will maybe be at this job, but no, I mean it's not me and him installing for sure. I'm done with that.
Yeah. See, I thought I was done too, but then like I said, stuff happens. You lose guys, and you got to put that tool all back on. It sucks, but I shouldn't say it sucks. It's just you'd rather be out selling, and running the business and focusing the business. Everybody says don't work in your business, work on it, but it's like when you got no other choice, you gotta put the tool belt on. You gotta make things work.
One advantage we do have is that, like, I know a lot of people over here, so I could probably put 7 subs together if I wanted to. If I actually had $3 million worth of work right now, and I had to do it all with subs, I could get it done. A lot of these guys used to work for me, and then they started their own company. So you got really good terms. Yeah, so it's like pretty much I got 6 subs that all used to work for me that have their own thing going on. I'm not using any of them right now. We're just using Alejandro, but I'm not gonna. I'll be able to get work done. Is all I'm saying, no matter what. But it's not really the model we're wanting to take. So we're only using a sub maybe the first few months,
and then you bring people on.
Yeah. Because I'm not really, subs are great, but I'm not like an advocate for using subs. I'm more like underground drainage maybe, or if you had some clean outs that didn't benefit you to have the crew do.
Yeah.
But other than that, you're much safer controlling everything.
Yeah.
Not worrying about someone's policy lapsing.
Yeah. And that's another thing that actually has helped us out too, is when it says on our website and everything, when I go on jobs, I tell them, we're going to be doing this install. I'll probably be here myself. We're not going to send, it's very common here that, the guy in the nice truck shows up, shakes your hand, takes your money. And then a bunch of guys show up like a clown car and hop out, and they got their baby under your tree. They're plugging a microwave in inside of their house, So the fact that we do our own work and, has really helped us out as well too, because there's a lot of companies in town that, just sub everything out. And, there's a lot of people who do it and they're very successful with it. Kyle Greer, he has a great business doing that. But there's a lot of bad people out there too, that don't do the best work and they're not professional, So us doing our own work has actually helped us out a lot, especially with some contractors too, because like I said, a lot of these subs, they're just not professional, they have, I've literally been on roofing job sites and they got their babies running around. They're breaking the customer's circuit box because they're plugging microwaves into their house, just blasting music, just stuff I would never think of doing, But so when I do go in estimates, I tell them, hey, we're actually, we do all of our own work ourselves. Just something that if you're comparing bids, just know that we do all of our own work ourselves. We're not going to sub this out, and it has helped us.
Yep. Yeah, people don't want subs. They don't want another company.
There is some great guys out there. Don't get me wrong, but majority of them that we've seen, they're not professional and they kind of rush because they're being paid by the job, so it's like, how fast can we get this done? And
it's hard to build a company off subs because it's hard to develop culture because you don't have you got this company, that company, this company, and it's not all together, building one culture.
Yeah.
And also your company's just not valued as much. Like on the exit, it's going to be valued much more if you got employees.
Yeah, because you don't actually own them, and they can. That would be a fear of mine too. That those guys could be like one day, all right, we're done with you. We're going to work for somebody else that's going to pay us more.
Right.
And then you're kind of SOL. But that's one thing that has helped us out is having our own staff and doing our jobs ourselves. And I don't know how people do it because we get a lot of like fascia and soffit jobs and stuff like that. And I really don't want to do them. I mean, we'll do them if we have to, but I'd rather sub them out.
It slows you down.
And I was trying to find subs, and half these people don't call you back. And it's like, I don't know how these like general contractors do it and deal with subs all the time. Because I couldn't even get half these people to call me back about doing fascia and soffit for us and stuff like that, So finally it got to the point where I was like, I don't even want to. I tell customers, hey, sorry, you're gonna have to get on Google because I wanted to sub it out and be able to have the customer have us handle everything, but it was just such a headache that just even trying to get people to call me back, I'm like, I can't rely on these people. They're gonna make me look bad.
I tried to get into soffit and fascia a couple times. We know how to do it. We're good at it, but I always ended up losing money because those jobs just took too long.
Yeah.
I could have them on a gutter job, knocking it
Yeah,
out.
you work so much
turn
more doing
things over.
gutters, and there's crews out there that'll work so cheap doing that stuff. That's like, let them have it and just stick to gutters. You know.
I think if you have enough, I'm not against it. I'm just against putting a gutter installer on it.
Yeah.
Like if you have another crew,
Yeah.
that's all they do, and you could provide enough software work for just
Sure.
them to do it. Like now you got your separate little entity
Sure.
over there,
Sure.
getting it done. But if you take a gutter guy and put them on it, you're going to lose money.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't care how fast they are; it's going to slow them down.
I mean, it does suck because I know for sure I've at least lost one job because we couldn't handle everything for them. Because customers, they want to call somebody that can handle everything for them. So we did a bit on a job, and I know someone else came in and they were one of those. We'll do siding, windows, gutters, soffit, fascia. So they went with the company that could do their soffit and fascia too. So that was.
I feel like you need like a 3 or 4 man crew on those jobs too.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
So I do know that it did cost us at least one job by us not doing it. But like I said, I tried to find subs, and it was.
Well, I mean, if you're busy and if you're already busy,
yeah,
you're going to cost yourself time. So it's kind of, not every job's worth it.
Yeah. But one other thing I want to talk about was, coming from Central New York, there's like a handful of gutter companies, but it's such a different industry up there. Like I said, none of them really advertise. They're all word of mouth, and they can do $500,000 just word of mouth and referrals. Like that. What's that?
Is it rural?
Yeah. It's pretty rural. But like I said, they don't have websites. They're doing paper estimates. It's completely different. So being
are they all subcontracting? I mean, how?
No, they're just, one man, 2 man crews. The owner drives the truck. The owner does, runs the machine, and you'll have a helper or two. But like when I got to Nashville, it's completely different. But I like it because I like all the competition. It keeps me on my toes.
I feel like that could only work if you've been in business for a long time. Like, I don't know how long this guy's been around, but I always
20 years.
20 that's what I mean. I always cringe when people give the advice, just do good work, word of mouth. Like, if you're not getting any jobs, who's going to talk about you?
But like I said, in a small city like where I'm from originally, you can stay busy with just Facebook and doing a job for this person because it's such a small town. But in Nashville, it's a completely.
Oh, you mean the group? The groups probably work better in those small towns.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and everybody too. Everybody knows everybody. Even I would get quite a bit of people ask me for gutters. Like my family, and when I was working for the company that my buddy, we would do those jobs. But being in Nashville, there's so many gutter companies, and it really forces me to kind of bring my A game all the time because there's a lot of good companies here. So it's like I gotta make sure my advertising's right. I gotta make sure my website's top notch. I gotta deliver good customer service. I couldn't get away with doing some of the stuff that these smaller companies do in this big city. I wouldn't survive.
Yeah.
But like I said, I like it because it forces me to always do better and be better, because it's such a big market that you really have to be a top player or else you're.
What do you think? There's about 150 companies there?
I would say more than that.
Yeah. My area is probably about 200-ish, 250.
I would say more than that. And like I said, we've got all the big franchises too. We got Brothers, and there's
you know what though? Just because it's a franchise, those are small businesses. Like,
yeah, no, I know they're independently owned.
Yeah, a lot of it's just 1 truck, 2 trucks.
And pretty much every roofer does gutters. Well, they sub them out, but they still sell gutters. So you have a lot of roofers, trying.
Oh yeah, if you consider that, there's probably 800 people who are selling gutters. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's tough. But like I said, I like it because it's a challenge,
Yep. Well, you got the population, a couple million.
Yeah.
People.
And I've never, like I said, there's a couple other companies around, but I've never had someone like comparing estimates and like, I'm going to go with this company. Like, we're not like bidding against each other because it's such a big area,
Yeah.
Even not in Nashville, we go to about an hour all around Nashville. And I've never.
And all that.
Oh, we go College Grove, Spring Hill, Hendersonville. Literally, it's a huge area. Not even just staying in Nashville. But I've never I'm sure in a small town you're constantly bidding against the same people and you start to butt heads. But here there's so many companies that you're not really directly competing with anybody.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep. You just got to compete with yourself.
Yeah.
Sell better.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. No doubt. Good deal, man.
Got anything else?
That's all I got. Appreciate you coming on here.
Yeah, man. I'm good.
So, till the next time.
Yes, sir.
All right,
Good
brother.
stuff.
You have a good night. I appreciate everyone, and I'll see you.
Thanks, Tim.